Hello, hello, it's Heather coming at you live from inside of a tin can. I'm so glad that you're here today. I've been looking forward to making this piece for a really long time. So all of my designs start off as a sketch. You can see here I printed it out to the exact size I want the cake to end up being. All of the wire skeletons pretty much where I want them to go, and also where I want the bends for each one to go. So none of these little wings or tails are any of the same. Okay, so what I did is I took a piece of string, I measured each one, which is actually my normal method, and then I averaged them all out into one standard dragon, which you can see on the right. And this is what I used to create all of the wire forms so that they were uniform before I started giving them individuality. Okay, so here's my wire method. You take a piece of wire, you lay it on the end of his little toe. You make a mark where his ankle should be. Then you don't move the wire. You put another mark where his elbow should be. And then you put another mark where his little middle of his hips should be. And you go on the other side. You should have a piece of wire that's marked in multiple places. That's exactly the length of both of his legs and middle. Okay, so once I had all those little pieces of wire measured out, I went ahead and just cut all of them for all of the dragons all at once. The obvious exception would be like yellow had to have an extra long tail piece, and red had to have an extra long foot piece, as did blue. And in the end, I went ahead and made purple whole, but he obviously only needed his top half. This allowed them a nice long piece of wire that could go through the board and anchor them in place. Here we have a finished dragon skeleton. Yes, I've used some electrical tape to tape his wing spars together, as you can see, but you could clearly observe that his little hind legs and his little front legs and his little neck and tail are all just bent and assembled, but still waiting to be taped together. And there is a fully finished and assembled dragon. Yes, I like to also use bits of rubber band to lash things together really tight in combination with electrical tape, just to hold that wire frame in place until I can glue it. After I made all those little dragon skeletons, then I took my base, drilled a whole bunch of holes in it, and then threaded the wires through. Here's the underside. You can see where I have folded the wires back towards the center, stapled them down with a wood stapler, used more hot glue to secure them, and this is so that they can provide a really stable base for all of that gravity defying we're getting ready to do. And here they are, 4 little dragon skeletons, semi-customized, drilled through the board, secured through on the bottom side, and they are all ready to take flight. Purple is on the far front, green is on the right, yellow is to the back, and red is to the left. Okay, so next I grab a pair of wires in each hand, and I undertake to personalize each generic little skeleton into, well, a dragon taking flight. First I have yellow, and then there's graceful green, and darling red, and then up front, Mr. Purple. Once I'm somewhat happy with it, I hold it up next to the drawing and I make sure that I've caught the essence of the movement that I was looking for in each individual dragon. And the last step, of course, is to cover that board over with plastic wrap so that it doesn't get hurt or scratched. So it's worth noting here that this is a sugar sculpture, so I have not food safe any of these wire structures as I normally would were this for an actual cake sculpture intended for eating. Okay, so I started with some gum paste, just yellow, red, teal, purple, my basic colors, and then I did phases of all dragons at once, so they all got heads, they all got tails, they all got arms and then legs. Here you can see I've put a little straw on the end of my Dresden tool to make little scales in hard to reach places. This method makes it a lot easier to get fine details out of your gum paste before it dries up on you. Purple's tail was rolled out and done separately and allowed to dry up curled up on a piece of plastic. Okay, here is everybody. We've got heads, we've got necks, we've got bodies, and we've got tails. And just like that, we have tails, we have bodies, we have heads, we have legs, we have arms, we have little hands. This part of the kit was so fun and so easy. I made a basic marble swirl using the colors of each dragon, so purple and orange and red for red dragons, a little bit of white. Roll them up together into like a peppermint stick, swirl them back and forth, roll them flat, then get your circle cutters out. Then I have this most wonderful hemisphere mold. I would take each little round circle and using my ball tool I gently tuck it into each mold, roll it around so that it's nice and smooth, and let it dry. As you can see, it makes beautiful eggshells. Before the eggshells dried all the way, I took my little scissors and I used them to snip those little shells into all sorts of little different realistic looking eggshell shaped patterns rather than a ragged torn edge. Who hatched here? Okay, so here we are. Everybody's got their heads, their tails, their bodies, their feet, their hands, and we're going to now add some color before I add any wings so that we don't get the wings dirty. First, I'm going to be using various colored dusts to highlight and shadow various tones in the dragon's bodies. For this, I like to take a normal paintbrush and cut it off kind of stiff so that each dust has its own dedicated stiff brush so that we're never mixing any colors, but each one stays nice and bright. Okay, you will see me shade like this quite a bit. I like to use the color that's on the either side of whatever it is I'm shading on the spectrum. So for example, the purple dragon there will have blue on his underbelly and then pink as his highlight. The red dragon to the left there will have purple as his underbelly and orange as his highlight. The yellow dragon will have green as an underbelly and orange as his highlight. The turquoise blue dragon will have green as his highlight and blue as his underbelly. So I've used all the colors of the rainbow and I've worked them together so that your eyes see what harmonious whole. And because no dragon is truly complete without rainbow metallic magic colors, we of course need to break out the metallic color paints from Magic Colors. Gotta tell you, I love these things. It's like they were made for dragons. Yellow dragon has little dots of green and gold. Red dragon has purple and gold. Blue dragon has green, turquoise, and gold. And purple dragon has violet and pink. You can see how dusting has a very subtle but strong effect. Look at Blue there, how she's got green on her highlights and dark blue along her belly. And while purple uses the exact same blue dust, his belly makes it look deep white. His highlights are in pink, but then you look closer and you see metallic dots, rose pink and gold on purple. And once again, gold and green and turquoise on the blue dragon. Red gets purple for his belly and orange for his top, while yellow also gets orange for the top and green for her belly. Oh yeah, you wanted to watch me do this, right? Okay, hang on. First thing I did was make a paper pattern from that original drawing at the beginning. Remember that? Next, remember our color scheme? How purple gets pink and blue? I take a representative roll of each color of gum paste. I set them next to each other, and then I roll them together with my rolling pin to make a nice flat blended piece. Then I take my wingspan pattern, and hopefully I got all three colors in that nice span, and I cut it out with an X-Acto knife. And here's purple with his wingspans attached. Isn't it cute? Okay, let me show you how I did this. First, I will paint the wire with corn syrup. Yes, that's corn syrup. Next, I take my pre-cut wingspan that you saw from earlier and fold it along the wing bone edges, usually with a smoother or something, and I apply some more corn syrup just to the wing bone areas. And there's yellow with both wingspans attached. And last but not least, green has her wingspan attached. You also might notice I have all of the little frills attached, which I attached at the same time that I attached all of the wing sails. And here is everyone with all of our wings, noses, heads, frills, decorations, eyes, and everything. And here we are when the cellophane has come off. Okay, so this last part was actually the most fun of the entire thing. My whole idea was that dragons don't necessarily like gold. It's that they like the high resonance frequency quartzite. The gold is frequently found there. It then follows that dragons would make their nests in such places. I had originally intended on using sugar crystals, those little ones you could get at the candy store. But really, they just weren't the right scale. They were too big. So, since this was going onto a base, and also because this is a display, I decided to use salt crystals. Yes, those are salt crystals, the kind that you have in your salt grinder. Well, I tell you what, they made absolutely perfect crystals. And what's more, they spread out real nice. So you can see here, I have painted the base with corn syrup. That's what that wet looking stuff is. And that's so that it provides a nice sticky base for all of those little salt crystals to stick to. This was really satisfying to do. I bet you could tell. Once I had a good solid base of salt crystals laid down, I went ahead and added a few sugar crystals as well. Next, I added some gold paint. I kind of really dripped that on there with an eyedropper. And then, of course, a couple of those little shells, those little rainbow shells. Then I took the two prettiest eggshells for each dragon and I arranged them around the bottom of each dragon so that it looked like he had just hatched them. So I have been collecting these sanding sugars pretty much every holiday, right? You get the orange for Halloween, you get the blue ones for 4th of July. Well, I knew I'd been saving up for something. It was such fun to pour little bits of sand, rainbow sand, inside of each eggshell. I wanted to give the impression that there was little bits of magic inside the shell with each dragon that shimmer and burst as they leak out.
Hello! Thanks for being here and thank you for buying my video and for watching with us today. And thank you for supporting my sweetheart. See you soon.